Building a jewel case for me isn't really just about the carving. Carving is one aspect of my cases and boxes, but the sum total of the box is much more than that. So when the box is first conceived, and this is a Fibonacci proportions box, say 5, 8, 13 box, 5 height, 8 depth, 13, and do a little bit of algebra, and any measurement can be adapted to that Fibonacci measurement. The Fibonacci sequence provides a very nice, easy approximation to the golden mean without complex calculations. And the golden mean is you start adding additional dimensions to the golden mean, the calculations can get fairly complex. The Fibonacci numbers, it's easy to pick 3 out of the sequence and build that into the 5, 8, 13 boxes I make, are 5 tall, and the proportions are 8 deep and 13 wide. Then comes the hardware. The hardware is a very important part of the construction of the box. I like to put cabinet handles on the ends and sides, and there's a lot of different types of cabinet handles being made right now. I use barrel hinges. This wood is about, it's almost 7/8 of an inch thick, so it's a little bit better than 3/4, a little bit less than an inch. I get my linden in 1 inch thickness, and by the time I plane it and sand it, it's down to, I can usually get it around 7/8 for usable size. The hinges are 12 millimeters, and that leaves plenty of sidewall on both sides. Some of the larger hinges can really weaken the sidewalls of the box. I use a simple half lap joint made with a router. The amount of time I put into my carving is very important to me, and the amount of carving that will go into this precludes me adding dovetail joints. The dovetail joints, I can do them. They're beautiful, but they're very time consuming, and I'd have to double the price of the box for the amount of work that the dovetails are to put in here. This will be a $300 box, $275 box when I'm done. I like to add a cabinet handle pull to the lid. The inside will be fitted with a walnut interior with a small drawer for rings, padded bottom, mirrored top, and walnut fittings in the top to hold the mirror in. And then the carving. I put the box corners are nice. They're there's a lot of different kinds of them, and I use these as a decorative element. But there's also a guide to how to lay out the top of the box. So there's runes on this that say, "Not all those who wander are lost," which is a Tolkien quote that I love, and it's from Arwen's poem about Aragorn and the Return of the King. And not all those who wander are lost in Tolkien's rune set. And then there's going to be 4 Celtic knots on the top, 1 Celtic knot on the front. This box will have a little latch hasp to keep it closed to the right of the knob. This has a glass medallion that I make in my kiln, and it's got in platinum, it has 3 Celtic dogs intertwined. That's an Irish motif, Irish Celtic motif. And then there's a little platinum medallion with a 4-part piece of knotwork in platinum that will go in the center or the front towards the bottom. So the sum total of these boxes, yes, they are carved boxes, but the carving is just a piece of that, and the other pieces that are involved in building these jewel cases are the things that make them a product, and that make the product leave the tables as soon as I put them out. One of the things that I like to do with a carving is to add just a little bit of pyrograph detail. I don't do an enormous amount, and any of the shading or any of that kind of stuff, but I like to have some burned elements that are contribute to the overall appearance of the box, and my customers like that a lot too. So this one is going to have the Celtic knotwork on the front, will be pyrographed in. The glass medallion is carved in and ready to mount after staining and finishing. And after I do the pyrography on the runes and the Celtic knotwork, sand the whole thing and make sure all the pencil lines are gone. So the runes on this one, this is the Anglo-Saxon runic futhark is what it's called. It's what Professor Tolkien used as the ancient Dwarvish writing in The Lord of the Rings. This is in English, and it says, as the quote, "Not all those who wander are lost." So just a little bit of simple burning really adds to the overall appearance of the piece of artwork. I like the runes because of their angular nature. They have a very unusual look to them. Most people have never seen them before, or if they have, they don't recognize what they're looking at. And they give a very much of a very ancient feel to any work that they're applied to. I use a really hot blade set all the way to the top of what my burner will do, because I like to sand. The wood burning has a tendency to draw some resins out of the wood when it heats, and I don't necessarily like how that looks with the burning, so I sand all of my wood burning pretty good after it's been rendered, and the hot knife gives the burning enough depth that it can withstand that the burning will still have good crisp detail after it's been sanded. If you just leave a shallow mark in the wood, if you don't sand it, that's alright. But if you want to sand it to make it more crisp and to get rid of the resin outburn from that goes into the adjacent wood, then the burning has to be pretty deep, or you'll just basically sand it off and and it doesn't sand off consistently. There's parts of your design will still be burnt, and part of it won't be. So this gets a hot burn, a hot fast burn that goes real deep, and I can sand it as much as I want to, and I won't lose the crispness of my detail, and I won't have blank gaps in my lines. The last step that I go through before I sand, and I lightly sand, but I still do a little bit of sanding, is to go through and get rid of all the pencil lines. The graphite from the pencil likes to contaminate the rest of the carving if you don't, and I use a magic rub eraser, and it usually gets most of it. Sometimes it won't get the lines because the linden is soft, and to sand them out so they disappear. The geometry, the layout lines and the geometry, I found that I can't do elegant layout without having those geometry lines on there. Centers and zones and quarters and all the different areas that I like to use to throw detail into a box. So that's a Celtic knotwork pyrographed in. Anglo-Saxon runes on the top, and carved 4 panels of carved Celtic knotwork, and a raised bed for a medallion. And this is ready for sanding with a light sanding with 220 cloth, French cloth, and then I go to switch to 400.